Okay, so to begin this DIY, I'm just going to take my pumpkin and my X-Acto knife. There is a seam in the pumpkin, so I'm just going to run the knife all the way around the pumpkin to cut the pumpkin in half. My pumpkin in two, or cut it in two. Now, as you can see, this is the first time that I've used these pumpkins, so the core of the pumpkin, or the stem here, is actually just held in with a toothpick and a little bit of hot glue. So I'm just going to remove this toothpick. And this one here was falling off a bit, so I just added a little bit of hot glue just to keep it in place. Now we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I've taken my ready board and I've placed my pumpkins down, and I'm just going to take my metallic marker, and this marker I purchased it at the Dollar Tree. It's from Forever in Time, and I'm just going to trace around the half pumpkins, and then with my X-Acto knife I'm going to cut those out. I have traced it. The next thing I'm going to do is cut it out, and then we will move on to the next step. So at this point, I want to cover the back of my pumpkin cutout. Now, you don't have to cover it with anything. I will be painting the pumpkins white, so I could just paint the back of this white. I am going to be finishing off a trim around the pumpkin to seal everything so there are no seams to be seen with some jute twine, so painting it would be just fine. But what I'm going to do is take some burlap. I've cut a piece for my pumpkin, and I'm just going to glue that onto the back so that it'll look something like this. Just going to take my hot glue, apply it all around the styrofoam here, and then place my burlap pumpkin cutout right on top like that. Okay, so now the next thing, as you can see, I've already painted one pumpkin. I'm just going to take my sponge brush and my Dollar Tree paint, and I'm going to cover the pumpkin. Now, I left a little bit of the orange showing because I just like the orange, the fall colors. I'm always drawn to them, but this is a little bit too bright, so this is why I covered it, so that it sort of looks like a whitewash on top of the pumpkin. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this side, and then we will move on to the next step. Once the pumpkins have dried, it is time to add the jute twine to the edge of the pumpkin. Now, what I like to do is I like to start at the very bottom. This way you don't see it because it's placed down. And then I will just start gluing it all the way around, and I'll probably do a few rows just to give it a really nice look. and this way it'll clean up all the edges, the styrofoam. And a good idea as well before you start is to look at your pumpkin and take your scissors, and if you see any pieces that may be too long, just go ahead and trim those, and then you can begin applying your jute twine. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and stencil something onto the pumpkins. If you decide to do this project and you want to leave them just as they are, they look really great. They really do look like they are whitewashed, and I really like that look as well. I will be using the stencils from the Dollar Tree, and these are self-adhesive stencils from Jot. The first one I have is the letter, and the second one is a pattern stencil. So I'm just going to use some acrylic black paint from the Dollar Tree, and usually I use a stipple brush when I do this, but today I'm just going to use the same sponge brush that I used to paint the pumpkins with. So once I have my words stenciled on, then we will be ready to glue the pumpkins to the napkin holder, and the project will be complete. Okay, so as you can see, I have already applied the stencil, the sticker stencil, to the half of the pumpkin. I first want to say that these stencils work absolutely great with this type of a project, because as you can see, the pumpkin has curves, and these stencils are flexible, and you just apply them and they lay down very nicely on the piece that you're placing them on. And so for these types of projects, these stencils work out great. Secondly, I did say that I was going to apply the paint with this foam brush, but I actually ended up applying it with the paintbrush, and only because these stencils are quite small. The letters are very small, and the foam brush is just a little bit too thick. So when I was applying it, I had to really be careful not to get it on the pumpkin. Whereas with the paintbrush, it's much smaller and you have much more control. So I just applied some paint on the brush, then I dabbed it onto a paper towel to take the excess off, and then just with an up and down motion, I applied the paint to the stencil. So I'm just going to give this a couple minutes to dry. I will take off my stencil and then work on the second half of the pumpkin. So I have finished stenciling my pumpkins, and I cannot say enough how much I love these self-adhesive stencils from Jot from the Dollar Tree. They are absolutely wonderful to work with, especially for projects such as this where your object has curves in it. It lays down so nicely. The self-adhesive sticker really keeps it in place, and you can stencil with ease. So now that I've finished stenciling, I'm going to take my pumpkins outside, and I'm going to give them 1 or 2 coats of this Rust-Oleum paint and primer in matte clear, just for a little bit of added protection for the paint. You know, if anything splatters on top of it, then I can wipe it away and not have to worry about the paint underneath. Once I have done that, I will bring them back inside, and then I will glue the pumpkins onto the napkin holders and we will be done. Okay, so I have brought my pumpkins back in. I finished spraying them with the clear matte. Now I'm just going to glue the pumpkins onto the plastic napkin holder. Now, hot glue would work perfect for this project. I mean, after all, these are styrofoam, they're very lightweight, and anytime you add glue onto burlap and stick that onto something, you have no worries. But I went ahead and added a little bit of E6000 glue just because with every project I want to make sure that my things are secured very well. But in all honesty, the hot glue will be sufficient. So I'm going to add the hot glue to the napkin holder. And then just place the pumpkin on. And then just hold that in place. And this pumpkin works so well with this napkin holder. It's the perfect size for it. Now, I did not spray my napkin holder. I left it clear. If I end up making another one of these, I may go ahead and spray it in a dark steel metal, but I just decided to leave this one plain. Okay, so here is half of the napkin holder. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach my other half of the pumpkin to the other side, and then I will show you what it looks like with the napkins in place. Okay everyone, so here is my Dollar Tree pumpkin napkin holder. This was such a fun, easy, and cost-effective DIY to make. I spent very little, $1.25 for the pumpkin, $1.25 for the napkin holder, a little bit of jute twine extra that I had from other projects, a little bit of paint, very little, a stencil, a couple pieces of burlap, and some glue, and you can make one of your very own to display in your home for the fall. It is absolutely beautiful, and in my opinion, it definitely looks much more expensive than what I spent to make this DIY. I actually will be making a couple sets of bookends. I don't know if I will make a video for it. I just thought I would throw the idea out there in case any of you wanted to make some of your very own. I think it would look great displayed on a bookshelf, even in your kitchen with your cookbooks. That is what I will be making mine for. But my daughter will also be painting a pumpkin, and I will stencil her name, and she can display her books in her room. She's very excited about it. So the two words that I used on this pumpkin were grateful and thankful, because that is definitely what I am to all my viewers and subscribers who watch my videos and leave such sweet and thoughtful comments. I am thankful and grateful to you all. So if you enjoyed this DIY, and I so hope you did, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, guys, take care, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye-bye.